Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. CARICOM needs to clean up its act. That assessment comes from political analyst, political scientist, Professor Hamid Ghani, a very intelligent man, ahead of CARICOM's upcoming regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Lucia later this month. Now, of course, he's right. He's right. But I find it strange how he isn't really speaking much about the serious errors being made by the new tyrant of Trinidad and Tobago who has taken over for the former Emperor Thanos Rowley, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. She's really behaving like a tyrant, and as the days go by, it's even getting worse. He says the regional body must address long-standing inefficiencies and strengthen its response to key issues if it is to remain relevant and effectively serve its member states. Honestly speaking, I don't know, boy, CARICOM, it's way too political. That's why, I guess. Pointing to the February reappointment of Dr. Carla Barnett to a second 5-year, not just a few months, to the 5-year term as CARICOM Secretary General, Professor Ghani described the vote as problematic. Because remember, I don't think Trinidad voted, so of course it's problematic. How could it be even legitimate? He referenced a 48-page constitutional opinion by UWI law professor Rajendra Ramlogan, which concludes that there may be strong legal grounds to challenge the validity of the reappointment before the Caribbean Court of Justice. Exactly. The governance issue, how the organization governs itself is something that I think the whole Carla Barnett episode has forced CARICOM to look at itself and how it governs itself. And do you do something as prominent as reappointing a Secretary General without some kind of formal agenda, item and a confession that the matter was never on the agenda, but you still went ahead and had a little meeting in Nevis and you reappointed a Secretary General and then blamed our government here in Trinidad and Tobago for just, well, you were invited to come, so you should have come. If it was, we were told, if it is our government, in spite of I having issues with them, if they were informed that they were going to vote to reappoint the new Secretary General, then they would have made sure and attended. You did not do that, and that's why it should have been on the agenda. TNT's delegation was absent for the vote at the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Kitts and Nevis in February, leaving the country unrepresented during a key decision. Exactly. And it's not like we deliberately did that. We did not attend because, okay, the Prime Minister was having some issues with certain things with CARICOM. But it's because she wasn't informed, right, that's such a significant, it was supposed to be just a retreat. So she wasn't informed that this was going to take place. Such a significant event was going to take place. Professor Ghani questioned CARICOM's level of engagement. Is that the way we as Caribbean people want our premier regional organization, CARICOM, to conduct its affairs? Exactly. I think you call it what, they missed the mark? Yeah, they fell really short when pertaining to that issue earlier this year. It was a real scandal. I mean, the Organization of America, American States, United Nations, NATO, none of these large organizations, the European Union, whichever organization you want to take, they do not appoint their premier leadership in this kind of offhand manner and behind closed doors. Exactly. It should have been officially announced to people. What they did was wrong. He maintained that CARICOM must adopt a more professional and transparent approach to governance. Remember, people, this is not just a case where they just extended her position for a couple of months. It's a 5-year term without Trinidad's approval. Nah, man, and we are significant funder of CARICOM. Never. My response, though, wasn't really in support of this statement released by him. I said correct, though, so I do support it. But the main part of my comment was because I'm concerned about how Hamid Ghani is really highlighting other important issues that we are facing here in Trinidad and Tobago, minus CARICOM. So I said, correct. But tyrant camps needs to stop transforming our nation into a Roger Alexander police state, right? Our nation is becoming a dictatorship just like Venezuela, even though the UNC administration continues to pretend to support America's fight against communism, socialism, and terrorism. It's total hypocrisy what's taking place. Matter of fact, it's total hypocrisy how they're even talking about CARICOM. CARICOM did wrong. But right now, our government and the TTPS is trampling upon our constitutional rights as citizens. Our constitutional rights to protest anywhere we want here in Trinidad and Tobago as long as it's a peaceful protest. Our rights to privacy in our homes, whereby police cannot invade our homes without a warrant. And something that is even extra significant and important is our rights to be released from custody if it is the police do not have sufficient evidence to charge us for a crime. They cannot detain us, I think, beyond 48 hours. That is the law. But because of this preventive detention order under the SOE, the TTPS, and with the government's approval, can hold you for as long as they want, as long as they consider you a threat to national security. That, people, is extremely wrong. I went on to say, I wonder what Trump and Republicans think about our government's decision to use an SOE to fight crime while also using preventive detention orders to imprison citizens for long periods of time without charging them for a crime. It goes back again to the Hadid's case. If it is these individuals really did in fact plot to attack, to assassinate any members of the government or anyone, but especially, well, the government and TTPS or whatsoever, then yes, charge them and let them face the courts. I'm in full support of that. But you're talking about over a week now, and they cannot be charged yet. So therefore, the only reason is because they probably even carry the information to the DPP, and the DPP must say, listen to me, I am not getting involved in that. Bring me proper evidence, right? Valid evidence, so that I could approve the charges to be laid. You understand what I'm showing you? And therefore, these individuals are only being held in custody because of the SOE, people. And we have to continue to ask this question. How much longer will the tyrant Kamala Persad-Bissessar continue to declare an SOE because of national security concerns? Will she do that for the next 4 years? The 4 remaining years in her term, will she continue to do that? And if that is the case, then we are in fact a police state and under dictatorship. The next thing to prove a full dictatorship will be if she ends up going beyond Venezuela and decides, listen, due to national security issues, we are not going to be able to hold a general election in 2030. She'll say we will hold it sooner, though, but we have to postpone it because there's intelligence saying that there might be an uprising, or there may be intelligence saying that an assassination plot is out, and therefore we cannot have so many people on the streets going out to vote. I don't know. It sounds as though they will have some kind of excuse. Of course, I'm just assuming that. I'm just saying the way things are looking, it could end up even going down that road. God have mercy on this country, because you're pretending as though you're standing up for democracy and you're real condemning Venezuela and you're condemning Cuba. But you are behaving more like a dictator than even Delcy Rodriguez. Can you imagine that? God have mercy on this country, and God have mercy, most of all, on the Christians in Trinidad and Tobago who are supporting this. Because just like how the PNM fanatic Christians were wrong for supporting PNM because of tribalism, you Christians who are so blindly supporting UNC are also wrong, because that is idolatry. You are worshipping the UNC the same and Kamala the same way how the PNM supporters, fanatics, worship the PNM. It is wrong. It is wrong. Anyhow you take it, it is still wrong.
The governance issues, how the organization governs itself, is something that I think the whole Carla Barnett episode has forced CARICOM to look at itself and how it governs itself. And do you do something as prominent as reappointing a Secretary General without some kind of formal agenda item and a confession that the matter was never on the agenda, but you still went ahead and had a little meeting in Nevis, and you appointed, reappointed a Secretary General.
TNT's delegation was absent for the vote at the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Kitts in February, leaving the country unrepresented during a key decision. Professor Ghani questioned CARICOM's level of engagement.
Is that the way that we, as Caribbean people, want our premier regional organization, CARICOM, to conduct its affairs? I mean, the Organization of American States, United Nations, NATO, many of these large organizations, the European Union, whichever organization you want to take, they do not appoint their premier leadership in this kind of offhanded manner and behind closed doors.
He maintained that CARICOM must adopt a more professional and transparent approach to governance.
I think it's murky, it's not a good look, and it doesn't augur well if that's how we are going to run our governance affairs in CARICOM. We need to operate in a very professional, upfront and straightforward manner, not in the manner in which this was done back in February. And February really was a very awkward situation, and it created a lot of disenchantment on all sides. And I think that CARICOM needs to clean up its act where that is concerned at this meeting.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has since indicated that Trinidad and Tobago will not recognize Dr. Barnett as Secretary General after August 2026.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago on Thursday, July 2, 2026. Trinidad and Tobago will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with breezy conditions and scattered showers or isolated thunderstorms on Thursday, July 2, 2026. Daytime temperatures will reach a high of 29 degrees Celsius to 31 degrees Celsius, while dipping to a low of 24 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius at night. According to the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, a moderate to high concentration of Saharan dust will remain present in the atmosphere, so sensitive individuals should take necessary health precautions. Expect breezy conditions with easterly to southeasterly winds blowing between 10 km per hour to 40 km per hour with sudden gusty winds near heavy downpours. Seas are forecasted to be moderate with open water wave heights between 1.5 to 2.0 meters and sheltered areas staying between 1.0 to 1.5 meters, while spring tides are currently in effect. While the next distinct tropical wave is expected to arrive by Friday, the localized thunderstorms on Thursday bring a risk of quick street or flash flooding in poorly drained or low-lying areas.
Regional news now. Justice Pamela Beckles, no, not Penny Beckles, strongly criticized the ongoing court delays in Barbados caused by prisoners arriving late from Dodds Prison. During a recent session at the No. 5 Supreme Court, legal proceedings could not start until 11 a.m. because the accused had not been transported from the prison. That's bad, man. That's really bad. Justice Beckles noted that this is a long-standing issue that also affects lower courts across Barbados, and she called on high-level officials to fix the transportation problems immediately. Philip will fix it? Nah, Philip can't even fix Trinidad and Tobago right now. These delays prolong the time inmates spend waiting for trial, and that is bad because remember, a lot of people could end up being innocent. A lot of people are most likely innocent. Just like here in Trinidad and Tobago, where a large number of these cases end up being thrown out of court. So these delays prolong the time inmates spend waiting for trial, which slows down the Barbadian justice system and affects both the accused and the victims. Exactly. International news now. Russia has initiated importation of gasoline from India in an effort to mitigate widespread domestic fuel shortages triggered by Ukrainian drone strikes on its energy infrastructure. Reuters reported on Wednesday, citing industry sources. Now, Russia's a bully. Putin is a bully. Putin is trying to annex, if not the whole of Ukraine, a portion of Ukraine. But India's going to benefit from this, though. Increased revenue. The fuel deficits have spread across Russia, resulting in fuel rationing in some regions, long queues at filling stations, and record increases in retail gasoline prices. I even saw some videos online of people fighting. Fighting, my lord. The Kremlin confirmed on Tuesday that it is currently in discussions with foreign partners regarding fuel imports at acceptable prices. If you wanted to know what acceptable prices, take whatever you get, Putin. According to one industry source, India has already dispatched at least 60,000 metric tons of gasoline to Russia. A separate source stated that 2 tankers have been sent carrying individual cargoes of 30,000 to 40,000 each. Revenue for India, that is good. I find we could be able to be part of that bargain too, yes? I mean, I love Russia. don't like how Putin is a dictator. It remains unclear which specific Indian oil refineries are supplying the fuel. President Trump, the man who thinks he's the Messiah and the king of the whole world, and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum cut the ribbon to officially open the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in North Dakota. During the ceremony, Theodore Roosevelt's Medal of Honor was presented alongside Congressional Medal of Honor Society President Britt Slabinski. The medal will remain on display at the library as part of its tribute to the 26th president. Roosevelt and his son Theodore Roosevelt Jr. are the only father-son pair to both receive the Medal of Honor. And this marked the first time the two medals were displayed together. Now, putting Trump's nonsense aside, where he's trying to be the Messiah of the world and bully Israel, this is nice news, though.
And here he comes. Let's listen in.
Yeah! Can you see that? A little bit, yeah. He's coming down the stairs. Yeah, USA! 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 USA!
I mean, this is almost like a typical whistle-stop tour back in the days when candidates would travel by train. And I know that some modern candidates have done these as well. But you go out there in the back of the vintage train car, you wave to the folks, you come down in the crowd, you shake a few hands. And you got to know that the president loves this as much as the crowd loves it.
Bible quote of the day. Mark 2:23-27. Lord of the Sabbath. Jesus confronts legalism by declaring that the Sabbath was made to serve people, not the other way around. One Sabbath he was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain. And the Pharisees were saying to him, "Look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" And he said to them, "Have you never read what David did, when he was in need and was hungry, he and those who were with him, how he entered the house of God, in the time of Abiathar the high priest, and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priests to eat, and also gave it to those who were with him? And he said to them, The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath."
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.